Coming up next, we'll be talking with Daniel Corey, writer of the new book, Prophet. Welcome back, Zappers. I'm Devin Curry with Shazap.com, your online source for comic book news and reviews. Today on Shazap, we've got half of the creative team behind the new book, Prophet, Mr. Daniel Corey.
Hello.
All right, and so we're going to talk a little bit about just kind of how you got started and how you got into the book. So what got you into comics?
Well, I guess the typical answer is to say I read them as a kid, but that certainly is the case. When I was really little, I read a lot of funny books like Archie and Richie Rich and stuff like that. And then, I got a little older. I was really into the G.I. Joe and the Transformer comics. I read some Cap. The first graphic novel I ever read was Dark Knight Returns.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, fell out of it when I got into high school and all that sort of thing. But, I kind of came back into it in the last couple of years, really. It seemed very relevant as a writer now because I've written in a lot of media. I've written for the stage. I've had like 10 plays produced, and I've written a novel that's been published, and a stack of screenplays at home. But really, seems to be vital and on the edge, as it were, today, especially in Hollywood, have a comic book.
Right.
And it's a great time right now because it's a very writer-driven medium right now, comics. You know what I mean? It's like writers are really coming to the fore in comics, and you got a lot of great writers like Ed Brubaker and guys like that who are basically, they're great novelists. These guys, Bendis too, and they're doing comics. So it seemed like a natural transition, and I just love the type of work those guys do. So.
And what were some of your early, your inspiration, your early influences?
My early influences? Well, my background mainly, that as I developed as a writer, is in literature and in the theater. I really cut my teeth as a writer learning plays. And that's what I would recommend for any aspiring writers. Nobody ever does it because nobody wants to read plays, okay? But I really would can't recommend that strong enough. Read plays, every scintilla of human experience has been put down in a play. That goes back thousands of years to ancient Greece with the Greek chorus, Shakespearean soliloquies, and in the 20th century, Eugene O'Neill and Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams with their great monologues that they wrote. That's where that's the essence of character and how it's described in the written word. It goes way back in history like that. Read plays, read novels, I love great literature like William Faulkner, C.S. Lewis, Vonnegut. I love modern crime noir writers like Dennis Lehane and James Ellroy. Horror novels of Ken Ulo. He's just a literary master of horror, that guy. And then in comics, read the greats. Some of my favorites, Frank Miller, Brubaker, Bendis, Jim Kruger's kind of the Tolstoy of comics. He brings a cast of thousands with him. So those are the guys that are currently influencing me right there in comics. So.
All right, and what's your favorite book that you're reading right now?
It's a couple. But I love crime noir is like my favorite genre. So obviously what's going to spring to mind is Criminal. Absolutely love Criminal. I also love Powers. And I'm waiting for that next issue. I want to see if Callista is going to survive. I'm on pins and needles about that. And I'm going back and recently I read Gotham Central. Read a couple of the trades for that. Love that. So it's Brubaker and Bendis. The crime noir stuff is the stuff that I'm really loving right now. And that because that plays very heavily into Prophet, into what we're doing. Like I said before, I'm a big fan of like James Ellroy and stuff like that. So we bring those elements into our comic, and I love reading those guys' stuff and seeing them bring it into. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Now you've started a website called DangerCat.com. Yes. That's DangerCat.com.
KATT.com.
And so tell me a little bit about what that site does and how you got it started.
Well, Danger Cat's company, I actually started Danger Cat Creative Studio, and I had a lot of different types of projects. I had, I have film scripts. I have a movie trailer that I created with Anthony, based on, I have rights to a couple of books by Ken Ulo, who I just mentioned. The Brownstone, which was a million-selling book by Ken. That was kind of a psychological horror story in the vein of Rosemary's Baby. Manhattan Heat, which is kind of a police procedural / supernatural thriller that we did the trailer on. If you go to dangercat.com, you can see it. And, you know, I also have a novel that I wrote called Elizabeth Kilbride, which is a psychological thriller set in pre-war France. And I have the screenplay adaptation for that, which was a quarterfinalist in Francis Ford Coppola's screenplay contest. Shameless plugging, but, you know, that's why I showed up today.
That's right.
But I had all these projects, and I was talking to a friend, and he was saying, you know, create an entity that is an umbrella for all your projects. And I had that, and I have Profit. So I created Danger Cat Creative Studio. You know, if you're living here in Southern California and you want to create a business like that, it's so easy. It's free. It costs nothing. So why wouldn't you do it?
Right.
So yeah, I got together Danger Cat and put up the website. We're on dangercat.com. We're also on MySpace. We're on ComicSpace. So now we have a presence in the world. So yeah, so you know, Danger Cat is basically just an umbrella for all my creative projects.
All right, great. Well, you're a very busy guy. Thanks for coming in and talking to us.
Well, sure.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Devin Curry with Shazap.com. And again, we've got with us Daniel Corey, half of the creative team behind the new book, Profit. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.